Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into a stack of sources centered around a really intriguing Japanese concept, Ikigai. You might have heard it translated as a reason for being.
That's right. Our key source material here is a book that takes a deep dive into Ikigai itself, connecting it to health, happiness, and remarkably, longevity. It pulls lessons from Japanese culture and psychological insights, too.
So what's our mission today? We're going to sift through these pages, pull out the most powerful nuggets of wisdom, and piece together what the secret to a long and happy life could actually look like for you, based purely on the ideas presented in these sources.
Yeah, get ready for some surprising facts and truly actionable takeaways, I think.
All right, let's jump straight into that core idea, Ikigai. The sources describe it as a somewhat mysterious word, but at its heart, it's about finding your purpose.
That thing that makes you look forward to waking up in the morning.
Okay.
And it's fascinating how this resonates with Western psychological ideas, too. Think of Viktor Frankl's logotherapy.
Right, the search for meaning.
Exactly, that fundamental human need. What stands out here, though, is that Ikigai isn't just presented as a nice philosophical concept. It's linked directly to living, not just living longer, but living with intention, with a drive that sort of propels you forward.
Absolutely. And connecting that sense of purpose to physical well-being is a huge theme in these sources. They almost suggest it's an anti-aging attitude.
Definitely.
And one piece of ancient wisdom highlighted is the saying, harahachibu.
Ah, yes. Fill your belly to 80%. This is a practice strongly associated with the people of Okinawa.
Right.
The idea is simple. Stop eating when you starting to feel full, not completely stuffed.
So not waiting until you feel like you can't eat another bite.
Exactly. The sources explain that overeating burdens your digestive system with a long, heavy process. And there's a suggestion that this might even accelerate cellular oxidation, which is linked to aging.
Wow. Okay. So the practical tip is incredibly simple then. Pay attention to those first signals of fullness.
It might mean leaving a bit on your plate, skipping that second helping, or, saying no to dessert you don't really need.
And the sources mention the traditional Japanese way of serving food helps with this, doesn't it?
Yeah, often smaller portions on many different plates. It naturally encourages this practice, helping you eat a variety of foods without overdoing it on any single one.
Smart.
And this link between physical and mental health is central. The sources quote that classic saying, mens sana in corpore sano.
A sound mind in a sound body.
Exactly. They argue that keeping your mind active and adaptable isn't just about intellectual pursuits. It's key to staying youthful and actually drives a healthy overall lifestyle.
Right. Just like you need to move your body, your brain needs a workout too. The sources mention neuroscientist Shlomo Bresnitz.
Yes. He makes the point that our brains thrive on stimulation. When we fall into rigid routines operating on automatic pilot, the brain can get lazy, essentially. So consciously breaking those habits, confronting your brain with new information or challenges, is presented as a way to revitalize it.
And the benefits go beyond just mental sharpness.
According to these sources, yeah. This kind of mental training can actually make difficult tasks easier over time, significantly improve your mood, and boost your self-image. Even simple interactions with other people or playing games provide that necessary stimulation.
And can help ward off depression from solitude, they say. It's fascinating that they suggest intellectual curiosity and a desire to learn can start slowing down neuron aging as early as your 20s.
It is, and keeping a positive outlook seems to magnify those mental benefits too.
Which makes sense. This emphasis on keeping active extends directly to fighting against a sedentary lifestyle then.
Absolutely. The sources highlight it as a major contributor to health issues today, even for young people.
And the changes they suggest are almost ridiculously simple.
They really are. The sources even quote expert Gavin Bradley talking about the danger of sitting, saying these ideas are so simple they're almost stupid. He points out that your metabolism slows down by a shocking 90% after just 30 minutes of sitting.
90%.
Yeah. Enzymes that process fats slow down, and after just 2 hours, your good cholesterol can drop significantly.
Wow. Okay, so the takeaway is just get up.
Pretty much. Just getting up and moving for 5 minutes helps, according to Bradley.
So the sources suggest things like daily walks, taking the stairs.
Choosing social activities over excessive TV, swapping junk food for fruit, aiming for 7 to 9 hours of sleep.
Even playing with children or pets.
Right. Simple ways to integrate more activity. The key is being aware of your daily routine and intentionally replacing unhealthy habits. These small changes are presented as renewing both body and mind, and potentially increasing life expectancy.
Beyond these everyday habits, the sources also explore some ancient Eastern disciplines like yoga, qigong.
Tai Chi, Shiatsu, yeah. What's a common thread that ties these practices together is that they all combine physical exercise with a focus on breath awareness.
Okay, the breath.
Yeah. The goal is to create a sense of harmony between your body and mind, allowing you to approach the world with more strength, joy, and serenity. The sources note that we often aren't conscious of our breathing right now.
Totally true.
And these practices help align your awareness with your physical self, preventing your mind from getting lost in worries.
That makes sense. And returning to diet for a second, beyond the 80% rule, they mention white tea.
Yeah, specifically calling out white tea for its incredibly high antioxidant power. The sources suggest 1 cup might have the same benefit as, like, a dozen glasses of orange juice.
Really? That's amazing.
It's a strong claim. They also list familiar Western foods packed with antioxidants: broccoli, oily fish, citrus fruits, berries, grains, olive oil.
And red wine in moderation, I saw.
And red wine in moderation, yes.
Okay, so physical health and basic habits are important, clearly. But the sources spend a lot of time on our internal state, particularly this fascinating concept called flow.
Ah, yes. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's concept. Flow is defined as a state of complete absorption in an activity.
Like being in the zone.
Exactly like being in the zone. Think about that feeling when you're doing something you love, maybe painting, playing music, coding.
Or just totally focused on a challenging problem.
You're entirely in the moment. The past and future just fade away. Your consciousness, your body, the activity itself, they feel completely united. The sources even say your ego dissolves.
Wow. And this state of flow is presented as, what? A fundamental ingredient for happiness.
Yeah, for happiness and what they call an optimal experience. The sources argue that finding and engaging in activities that bring us into flow is more important for lasting happiness than simply seeking immediate, fleeting pleasures.
Interesting. So it's about depth of experience, not just quick hits of fun.
Precisely. And what's remarkable is that the state of flow is universal. It feels the same for anyone, regardless of age, culture, or the activity itself, whether you're a chess master, a mathematician, a surgeon. When you're in flow, your mind is focused in order, free from the usual mental clutter.
Okay, so how do you get into flow? The sources outline conditions, right? Drawing on researcher Owen Schaefer's work.
Yes. First, it requires a focused mind, free from distractions. That's key.
Makes sense.
And they suggest strategies like choosing tasks that are challenging, but importantly, achievable.
Right, that sweet spot.
Exactly. You need to find that sweet spot right between getting bored because it's too easy and getting frustrated and giving up because it's too hard.
Like the book example they give.
Yeah, if you pick up a quantum mechanics textbook without the right background, you'll likely feel anxious and give up.
Definitely.
If you read a book you've read many times before, you'll be bored. But the right book, challenging but within your grasp, it can completely immerse you. Time just melts away.
Having a clear, concrete objective is also crucial, they say.
Which is why things like video games or sports are natural flow inducers.
Because the goal is obvious.
Right. The sources point out this can be a challenge in workplaces where the mission isn't always clear.
They mention needing a compass over maps.
Yes, suggesting direction is more important than a rigid, detailed plan when things are uncertain. A really interesting idea.
But here's a twist. While having the objective is important, you shouldn't obsess over it.
Exactly. The sources advise not to obsess over it once you start the task. You keep the goal in mind, but your focus needs to be entirely on the present moment of doing the activity.
Like the Olympic athlete focused purely on their race, not the medal.
Perfect example. Or a writer focused on just getting the next sentence down, not stressing about finishing the entire novel.
Okay, that makes sense. And minimizing distractions is absolutely key here.
Huge. Creating an environment free from interruptions, learning to control technology rather than letting it control you.
They mentioned an experiment about multitasking.
Yes, it dramatically showed how multitasking students were easily sidetracked by irrelevant things, while focus students weren't. Multitasking, they argue, decreases productivity, makes it harder to retain information, increases mistakes, and creates stress.
So flow is the complete opposite.
It's direct opposite. Focused, productive, leading to better retention, fewer mistakes, and a sense of calm control.
So practical steps include structuring your work, breaking tasks down.
Assigning specific times and places for certain activities, maybe bundling routine tasks together, things like that.
The sources highlight how this idea of flowing with one's ikigai is really understood deeply in Japan. They talk about the takumis.
Yes, the master artisans, also engineers, inventors, even dedicated fans like otakus who embody this focus.
There's that cultural stereotype of Japanese people being incredibly hardworking, linked to the word ganbaru.
Yeah, which means something like to persevere or to do your very best.
And this dedication translates into an incredible attention to detail, even in simple tasks.
Absolutely. Japan is presented as a unique culture that manages to embrace cutting-edge technology while fiercely preserving its traditional artisan crafts.
That anecdote about the Kumano brush factory is perfect here.
Yeah.
The master artisan in his own quiet room.
Yeah, working alone with this intense, focused concentration, it's a vivid picture of being in a flow state.
And Steve Jobs was inspired by this kind of thing.
Profoundly, the sources say. By Japanese craftsmanship, their engineering, Zen philosophy, even the dedication in making sushi.
It connects to that idea of sophisticated simplicity, right? Where there's always a meaningful challenge.
The documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi is held up as a prime example. Jiro making sushi for over 80 years.
And his son training for years just to master the omelet.
Incredible dedication. They don't get bored because making the best sushi is their ikigai. They achieve flow, completely lose track of time in their pursuit of mastery.
And they value the conditions for flow over just expanding the business.
Right. Even with Michelin stars, they keep it small to maintain that quality and focus. It's about the craft, the flow.
Becoming one with the object, respecting nature. They link that to Shinto.
Yes. The concept of kami, the spirit believed to inhabit objects in nature. It's presented as this powerful union between the creator and the creation through the craft.
Even author Haruki Murakami is mentioned for protecting his space to get into flow.
Controlling his environment.
But it's not just for artists or masters, right? They talk about microflow.
Yes. Finding moments of enjoyment and immersion even in mundane tasks, like doing laundry or paperwork.
The Shinjuku elevator operator example is amazing, doing the same job since 2004 with a smile.
Incredible enthusiasm. It shows flow is possible anywhere with the right mindset.
And meditation is offered as a tool for this, an antidote to distractions.
Exactly. It helps you focus on the process, the journey, rather than getting fixated on the outcome or perfection. By slowing down the mind's constant activity, that centrifuge idea, you find rest and clarity, which makes flow easier to access.
The sources also mention rituals in Japan being important.
Yeah, often more central than rigid rules. This emphasis on process and manners, even in business, can create a kind of ritualistic workplace, where finding flow might actually be easier than in a high-stress, chaotic environment.
And here's a really compelling point from the sources. The happiest people, they spend more time in flow.
That's the argument presented. Not necessarily those who achieve the most external success, but those who are most often fully immersed and engaged.
Which leads to that reflection exercise they suggest for finding your own ikigai.
Right. Think about the activities that bring you into that flow state. What do they have in common? Why do you lose track of time doing them?
Are they things you do alone or with others, physical or mental?
By identifying the patterns in your flow experiences, you can uncover clues about what your ikigai might be, what naturally brings you that deep sense of engagement and joy.
Okay, so finding your purpose and getting into flow sounds wonderful, but life? Well, life happens, right? Setbacks, stress. How do you maintain that focus?
That brings us to the concept of resilience.
Right.
Resilience is defined simply as that ability to deal with adversity, to persevere when things get tough. The sources use that great Japanese proverb, nanakorobi yaoki.
Fall 7 times, rise 8.
Exactly. It's more than just bouncing back. It's having an outlook that helps you stay focused on what's truly important, distinguishing it from what just feels urgent, and preventing yourself from being swept away by negative emotions.
So it's about training your mind and emotions, not just your body.
Precisely. Handling life's inevitable ups and downs. The sources explore this emotional resilience through both Buddhism and Stoicism.
Okay, interesting pairing.
Yeah, both philosophies, despite different origins, share a common goal: helping individuals gain control over their reactions to pleasure, emotions, desires, curbing the ego, managing negative feelings. They don't suggest becoming emotionless, but specifically taming destructive negative ones.
So Buddhism teaches enjoying pleasures, but not being enslaved by them.
And Stoicism similarly advises enjoying pleasures as long as they don't control you, and importantly, being mentally prepared for them to disappear.
The Stoic goal was tranquility, apatheia, which isn't apathy, right?
Not at all. It's the absence of negative feelings like anxiety, fear, shame, anger, paired with the presence of positive feelings like Happiness, love, serenity, gratitude.
Okay. And they mention a specific Stoic practice, negative visualization.
Yes. And this isn't about dwelling on bad things to worry yourself sick. It's about intentionally imagining the worst-case scenario, losing possessions, your job, even loved ones,
Why would you do that?
so that you are mentally prepared if those privileges or pleasures are unexpectedly lost. Seneca, a wealthy Stoic, even practiced living simply sometimes to build this inner resilience. It's about being able to reflect on potential negative events without letting them completely overwhelm you with worry now.
Okay, I see. It ties into focusing only on what you can control.
Absolutely. That's a central tenet, like the serenity prayer idea. Worrying about things completely outside your influence is pointless and draining.
Epictetus. It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters.
Exactly. And Zen Buddhism offers meditation as a practice here too. To become acutely aware of your desires and emotions without being carried away by them. It's about observing your thoughts as they arise without getting caught up in their story. Actively training your mind against anger, jealousy, resentment. The sources even mention the mantra Amanpa Padme and explain its meanings relate to purifying different negative aspects like ego, jealousy, passion, hatred.
Fascinating. And the concept of impermanence is vital too.
Hugely important in both philosophies. Marcus Aurelius viewed the things we love as temporary, just part of the universe's natural flow.
Not to be pessimistic, but to appreciate the present more.
Precisely. Being aware that everything eventually disappears is intended to help us appreciate the present moment and the people around us even more deeply. As Seneca put it, all things human are short-lived and perishable. The sources suggest this awareness helps mitigate the intense pain of loss when it does happen.
These ideas seem echoed in those Japanese concepts, wabi-sabi and ikigai.
Definitely. Wabi-sabi is that appreciation of beauty in things that are fleeting, changeable, and imperfect. Finding value in a chipped teacup or weathered wood.
Accepting imperfection.
Yes. The sources argue that only imperfect things truly capture the essence of the natural world. This acceptance of imperfection and time's passage helps you accept what you cannot control.
And Chigo-ichi. This moment exists only now.
And won't come again. A profound reminder that every encounter, every single moment, is unique and unrepeatable.
Wow.
It's a powerful idea encouraging you to fully savor and focus on the present, avoid getting lost in past regrets or future worries.
Which is crucial for pursuing your ikigai, they say.
Absolutely.
Then the sources introduce something even beyond resilience, anti-fragility.
Yeah, coined by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. While something fragile breaks under stress and something resilient withstands it.
Something anti-fragile gets stronger from adversity, like the Hydra.
Exactly. The sources give the example of how some systems or communities can emerge stronger after a major shock, like a tsunami, learning and adapting.
Okay, but how does that apply to us in daily life? They give steps.
They do. 3 actionable steps are presented. First, create redundancies. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Like with income or friends.
Both. Relying on a single source for anything crucial makes you fragile. The Ogimi centenarians often had multiple roles or jobs, like gardening alongside something else. Diversify your friendships, interests, skills. Prepare for the unexpected by not having a single point of failure.
Okay, step 2.
Bet conservatively where the downside is large, but take many small risks where the potential reward is large.
Like the finance analogy they use. Most savings, safe, small bets on startups.
Exactly. You limit your potential losses, but open yourself up to significant gains if just 1 or 2 pay off. Seek large upside without risking total collapse.
And step 3.
Actively work to identify and get rid of the things that make you fragile.
Things that cause stress or vulnerability.
Habits, people, obligations. The sources suggest setting good riddance goals. Stop snacking, pay off debt, avoid toxic people, reduce time on social media that makes you unhappy, things like that.
The overall message is pretty powerful then. Don't fear adversity. View it as a chance to grow stronger.
Right. Adopting an anti-fragile mindset helps you not just survive blows, but learn from them, refine your lifestyle, and become even more focused on your ikigai.
So the sources wrap up by looking at Japan's centenarians, especially in Ogimi Village in Okinawa, a blue zone.
Yes, an area with a remarkably high concentration of people living exceptionally long, healthy lives.
And community is central there. They have moai.
Informal social groups that act like an extended family, supporting each other. Volunteer work is huge too, ensuring everyone feels useful and connected.
They mention slow food from local vegetables.
Yes, but interestingly, the local director, Yuki, is quoted saying the food might be less important than smiling and having a good time.
So the social connection is key.
Seems incredibly vital. A rich social life, often centered around community hubs. That anecdote about the birthday party, youngest person was 83, everyone singing, dancing.
Yeah, that paints a picture. They also mentioned Mabui briefly.
Yes, an Okinawan concept of an immortal essence or life force. More cultural context, perhaps hinting at a deep appreciation for life's vitality.
And we get specific advice from the centenarians themselves, like keeping your fingers busy.
Yeah, the key to staying sharp is in your fingers, suggesting the importance of crafts or tasks, also waking up early, coffee, light exercise for energy.
Eating a bit of everything, variety.
And a consistent theme. Continuing to work, staying busy keeps the body from breaking down.
They talk about staying engaged with different things, but one at a time.
Right, avoiding overwhelm, living peacefully, finding joy in little things, good relationships, appreciating the seasons. These all come up.
And optimism sounds huge. Daily affirmations, feeling young.
Believing there's still so much left to do and learn, it's a powerful underlying attitude.
The sources also look at other supercentenarians, like Jean Coleman, 122.
Incredible. Rode a bike till 100, lived alone till 110, stopped smoking at 120. Apparently her secret was a sharp sense of humor.
Everything's fine. Amazing. And Walter Bruning.
Lived to 114. Credited keeping his mind and body busy, eating 2 meals a day, exercising daily, even late in life.
The idea of IKIGAI artists comes up again too. People carrying their passion through life.
Exactly. Like Hokusai, feeling his best work was after 70, aiming for mastery at 110. Purpose through creative expression.
And never stop learning. That's strongly emphasized.
Yes, quotes from T.H. White, Edward O. Wilson, artists Kelly and Gary, all reinforcing staying curious, observing, embracing patience as paths to continued engagement with age.
Finally, the sources condense a lot of this into an art of living blueprint, right? 10 points from Okinawa.
They do. Let's see. Stay active, don't retire.
Take it slow, don't rush.
You don't fill your stomach, the 80% rule.
Surround yourself with good friends.
Get in shape, daily maintenance.
Smile, cheerful attitude.
Reconnect with nature.
Give thanks for everything, really.
Live in the moment today is all you have.
And number 10, pursue your ikigai. Follow your passion. Let it fuel the journey.
It pulls it all together nicely. And they mention Mitsuo Aida, the calligrapher haikuist.
Right, dedicated to his ikigai. Poems about the present, happiness from the heart, perseverance.
Ultimately, pursuing your ikigai is presented as what brings that deep meaning and allows you to experience flow. Oh, and there was that little blue zones bonus.
Ah, yes, moderate alcohol.
1 to 2 glasses a day, maybe wine, with friends or food associated with longer life than non-drinkers in those zones, according to the sources. Interesting final note.
Wow, okay, that was a tremendous deep dive into these interconnected ideas from, how we eat and move to these profound states of mind like flow and resilience.
Yeah.
And those inspiring examples. There's so much here.
Exactly. What these sources really show, I think, is that physical health, mental engagement, emotional strength, and finding that deep satisfaction in your daily activities, your ikigai, they aren't separate things. They're all woven together into the fabric of what allows people to live not just longer, but more joyful and meaningful lives, according to this perspective.
Yeah, it's clear it's not about uncovering one single magic bullet secret, is it?
Not at all.
It's more about intentionally integrating a collection of simple habits, perspectives, ways of being, like those centenarians.
Finding purpose in gardening or art, finding strength in community.
Yeah, and carrying that powerful idea of anti-fragility with you.
Right. The notion that you can actually get stronger from life's challenges, not just survive them, it really shifts your perspective on adversity itself.
So for you, the listener, after exploring these ideas from the sources, what resonates most strongly? What small change, what habit, what shift in perspective feels most compelling, maybe most doable right now? Maybe it's trying the 80% rule, or consciously looking for a moment of flow in a routine task, or just taking a beat to be fully present.
Yeah, and consider this. If your ikigai is your personal reason for being, and flow is when you're most fully engaged in that reason, how can you take intentional steps to build more of those immersive, joyful flow experiences into your everyday life, turning even the seemingly ordinary into something, well, extraordinary?
That's a powerful thought to leave you with. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We truly hope this exploration gives you some valuable tools and inspiration for your own journey towards a life filled with more purpose, flow, and resilience.